On March 11, 2011, a massive earthquake and tsunami struck Japan, overwhelming the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. The tsunami breached seawalls, flooding the facility and knocking out its cooling systems, leading to meltdowns in 3 reactors. The world watched as Japan faced its worst nuclear crisis since Chernobyl. Over 150,000 people were evacuated, and a vast exclusion zone was created due to radioactive contamination. The cleanup is ongoing, expected to take decades and cost billions. Public trust in nuclear safety was shattered, and the government, along with TEPCO, faced harsh criticism for their lack of preparedness. Before Fukushima, nuclear power supplied about 30% of Japan's electricity and was seen as a solution to the country's lack of natural resources. The disaster abruptly halted Japan's nuclear ambitions and forced a nationwide shutdown of reactors for safety checks. Suddenly, Japan had to replace nuclear power with imported fossil fuels, increasing costs and carbon emissions. The psychological impact was deep, leaving a scar on the national psyche and fueling a powerful anti-nuclear movement. The government's drastic response upended energy policy overnight. The shutdown left Japan scrambling to keep the lights on, exposing the country's vulnerability. The Fukushima disaster remains a turning point, shaping every energy decision Japan makes today. It's a story of lost trust, national trauma, and the high stakes of energy policy. As of July 23, 2025, the legacy of Fukushima still looms over Japan's future. Before 2011, Japan was the world's 3rd largest user of nuclear power, behind only the US and France. With few domestic energy resources, nuclear power was a strategic choice for energy security and economic stability. The nuclear push began in the 1960s, fueling Japan's post-war economic boom. By the early 2000s, over 50 reactors supplied nearly a third of the nation's electricity. Nuclear energy was a symbol of technological progress and national pride. It was also central to Japan's climate strategy, helping meet international emissions targets. The government planned to expand nuclear's share to 50% by 2030, building more reactors to reduce reliance on imported fossil fuels. Public trust in nuclear safety was high, with assurances that reactors could withstand earthquakes. Safety drills and advanced technology reinforced the narrative of reliability. Few questioned the risks. Stable electricity and economic growth seemed to outweigh concerns. This widespread acceptance made the shock of Fukushima even more profound. The disaster exposed the limits of safety promises and the dangers of complacency. Overnight, nuclear power went from a source of pride to a source of fear. The foundation of public trust was shaken, and the future of nuclear energy in Japan was thrown into doubt. The events of 2011 forced a national reckoning with the true costs and risks of nuclear power. Fukushima triggered a radical shift. Japan shut down all 54 nuclear reactors for safety checks. By May 2012, for the first time in decades, Japan generated zero electricity from nuclear power. The sudden loss created an energy vacuum, forcing a rapid pivot to imported fossil fuels. Energy costs soared, straining the economy and driving up household bills. Japan's trade balance swung into deficit, and businesses felt the pinch. Environmentally, emissions spiked as coal and gas replaced nuclear, undermining climate goals. The shutdown revealed a tough trade-off: nuclear safety versus climate action. Policymakers faced a dilemma. Public demand for safety clashed with the need for clean, affordable energy. Anti-nuclear protests surged, and trust in government and industry plummeted. Restarting reactors became politically toxic, even for those passing new safety checks. The debate over Japan's energy future grew more intense and divisive. The shutdown wasn't just technical or economic, it was a deep social and political wound. The legacy of Fukushima haunted every discussion about energy policy. Japan's nuclear pause became a global symbol of the risks and uncertainties of atomic power. The nation was left searching for a new path forward. Over a decade later, Japan is cautiously returning to nuclear power. Soaring energy costs and global market instability have exposed the risks of heavy reliance on imported fossil fuels. The government sees nuclear as a way to stabilize energy prices and protect the economy. Climate change is another driver. Japan's 2050 carbon neutrality goal demands a shift away from fossil fuels. Renewables are expanding, but Japan's geography limits their potential and reliability. Nuclear power offers stable, carbon-free electricity around the clock. crucial for industry and digital infrastructure. Recent power shortages and blackout warnings have underscored the need for a reliable grid. Maintaining nuclear expertise is also strategic. Japan risks losing skilled engineers and global competitiveness without new projects. Investing in advanced reactors could open export opportunities for safer designs. The return to nuclear is about more than today's problems. It's about securing Japan's future in a changing world. The decision is controversial, but the government argues it's necessary for energy security and climate action. Japan's nuclear comeback is a calculated response to complex, overlapping challenges. The new reactor at Mihama marks a turning point in Japan's nuclear journey. Located in Fukui Prefecture, Mihama has a long history with nuclear energy and existing infrastructure. Kansai Electric Power Company, KEPCO, is leading the project, aiming to provide stable, carbon-free power to the Kansai region. The new unit will be an advanced light water reactor designed with major safety upgrades. Lessons from Fukushima are built in: multiple backup systems, enhanced cooling, and robust construction to withstand earthquakes and tsunamis. The goal is passive safety. The plant can shut down and stabilize even in extreme scenarios. The project faces rigorous regulatory review and must win local government approval. KEPCO is conducting geological and environmental studies and engaging with the community to build trust. The Mihama project is a national test case. Its outcome could shape the future of nuclear new builds in Japan. Success could restore confidence. Failure could halt nuclear expansion for years. All eyes are on Mihama as Japan takes its next nuclear step. Fukushima forced a complete rethink of nuclear safety. The new Mihama reactor features multiple redundant backup power sources, including mobile generators and batteries in waterproof elevated buildings. Passive safety systems use gravity and natural forces to cool the reactor, even without electricity or human intervention. The plant's structure is reinforced, with higher seawalls and watertight compartments for critical equipment. The control room is upgraded for better crisis management. The goal: multiple barriers to prevent radioactive release, no matter the disaster. Safety culture has changed. Japan's Nuclear Regulation Authority is now more independent and enforces stricter standards. The review process is exhaustive, scrutinizing every detail of design and operation. The industry is expected to prepare for even the most unlikely events. The new approach is about constant vigilance, not complacency. Despite safety upgrades, public skepticism remains a major obstacle. The trauma of Fukushima lingers, fueling distrust of government and utility companies. Polls show strong opposition to new reactors, with many preferring a nuclear phase-out. Local consent is required, making approval politically challenging. Anti-nuclear activists are vocal, while local businesses argue for jobs and economic benefits. Japan's seismic reality adds to the debate. Earthquakes and tsunamis are ever-present risks. Critics argue no plant can be 100% safe, especially with active fault lines nearby. The debate is about more than technology, it's about trust and accountability. Supporters say modern engineering can manage risks, and that nuclear is vital for energy security and climate goals. The community remains divided, reflecting the nation's struggle to move forward. The future of nuclear power in Japan hinges on rebuilding public trust. The new reactor has reignited debate over Japan's energy future: nuclear or renewables. Renewable advocates see solar and wind as the safest, cleanest path, but Japan's geography limits large-scale deployment. Offshore wind is promising but costly. Solar and wind are intermittent, requiring expensive storage. Nuclear supporters argue it's essential for stable, 24/7 clean power, supporting a grid with growing renewables. Without nuclear, Japan would rely more on fossil fuels, making carbon neutrality harder to achieve. The government is pursuing a mixed strategy, supporting both nuclear and renewables. Critics say this approach lacks focus, risking mediocrity in both areas. The choice will shape Japan's economy, environment, and global standing for decades. The debate is fierce, with no easy answers. Japan's energy future hangs in the balance. Japan's decision to build a new reactor is a pivotal moment, watched worldwide. After Fukushima, many countries turned away from nuclear. Japan's move could shift the global conversation. If successful, the Mihama project could become a model for safe, advanced nuclear power. Failure could reinforce doubts about nuclear's place in democratic societies. Japan is positioning itself as a leader in next-generation nuclear technology, including small modular reactors. The outcome will influence energy choices in both developed and developing nations. Japan's comeback is about balancing real risks with urgent climate and energy needs. There are no easy answers, only difficult trade-offs. As of July 23, 2025, Japan is writing a new chapter in its nuclear story. The world is watching to see what lessons emerge from this bold experiment.